I realized I was getting paid more than some influencers and I only had 1,000 followers. This is because I found a way to stop waiting to get paid and start actually implementing systems that made sure that I got paid. For the longest time, I genuinely thought people with large followings automatically meant that they were getting paid. So if you created good content, you showed up consistently, brands would just start coming to you. And this is actually the mindset that a lot of influencers at the moment also have. They don't know how to start monetizing. And I saw this shift when talking with a lot of my friends who had 50,000, 200,000, up to 1 million followers, but yet they were still struggling to get paid brand deals. Or if they were coming into their inbox, they were lowballing them. But after talking to them for a little while, there was a few things that I realized that they weren't doing and a few mindset shifts that they needed so that they could actually start to get paid from the great content that they were creating. Because great content doesn't always mean that you're getting paid. Also, sometimes the simplest content actually gets you paid the most. And the thing is, if you have built a great audience who will listen to you, who is engaging with you, then you already have a great foundation to actually be monetizing that audience. And it's so valuable, especially in these times when we're fighting against AI. And I'm speaking from experience here. I may not be a typical influencer, but I have done influencer style content and I am making a full-time income from my content creator business. And the exact same systems that I use work for influencers wanting to monetize. Something that really surprised me when I started working with influencers and their content is that their audience is rarely the problem. Actually, it's never the problem. I've seen many creators with very small audiences monetizing so easily, and yet people with large audiences are struggling to even get brand deals. And some of the biggest pain points that I hear people saying is that they're reaching out to brands and they're ghosting them. They never get replies. They're following up and it's full ghost town. They don't know what to charge. They don't know when their next deal is coming through. It's super inconsistent. And when you're building a business, that level of fluctuation is just not sustainable. And it's not because they have bad content and the brand doesn't like their content. It's because their original messages aren't landing with the brand. It's because they're not remembering to follow up. They haven't built the systems and processes to allow them to move forward as a business. They're still treating this like a hobby. When I dig further into this, these are the 5 main things that people aren't doing that would help them to move further in their business if they actually started. The first one is solely relying on inbound leads. Now, inbounds are great, they do come, but we can't completely rely on inbound leads. We need to make sure that we are proactive in where our leads are coming from. So this is things like email outreach, joining creator platforms, joining creator groups. Facebook groups are great as well. And making sure that you have a creator network. Being in a network of creators is actually super helpful because they can actually pass you on to brands that they have worked with as well. The second one is not actually actively following up. Whether they're forgetting, whether they're just like, oh, the brand's not interested, whether they are only doing one follow-up. These are all things that are super important to actually be actively following up. I do at least 3 times follow-ups. Sometimes I reply on the last follow-up. Brands generally get a lot of messages from creators. So sometimes you're just getting lost in the inbox. So it is super important that you're following them up, especially if you've already started that negotiation process with them. The third one is super embarrassing because I did this a lot as well when I first started, is not knowing your rates. So you're just chucking rates out left, right, and center, Googling them, ask ChatGPT. Maybe you're looking for inspiration on TikTok or Instagram, and you're just throwing numbers out there. The thing is that when you do that, you might get caught out by brands as well, which did happen to me, where I said a rate to one brand and I said a rate to another brand and they actually knew each other and they questioned me on it. So we do need to know our rates. And the best thing that you can do with this is making sure that you have a rate card. So you're clear on what your rates are, your packages, and when negotiations start, you know what your baseline is. This is my exact template that I use, and I make sure that I update it as I increase my rates as well. Having it in one spot makes it so much easier to just grab it or update it as I need. The fourth one is forgotten about so much, is a space to store your results. So we know what our results are in our head. Maybe we might know a reel that did really well, or a TikTok that did really well, or a piece of content that we did for a brand that did really well, but we haven't stored it anywhere. We haven't got the social proof. And we can spit these numbers to brands as much as we want, but they want to actually see the results. So the biggest thing that shifted for me was this results card that I have made, and it stores all of my key results that I've gotten for brands. I'm even able to embed the videos in there so they can see the video, see the results. I can even put a screenshot underneath of each piece of content's analytics and the results that they got. If they've been run as ads, I can also put the click-through rate down and the cost per acquisition. This is an easy place to house all your results as well as update all your results. And if a brand asks you to send some examples through, you just need to send them one link, because I know that I would spend half an hour each time trying to compile my favorite pieces that would showcase my best work. And doing this repeatedly, half an hour each time, is such a waste of time. If you just spend the time to do it once and then you can just update it as you need, it saves you so much time. The biggest thing that we need to remember is that time is money and we want to use it efficiently. So that's why systems and processes and knowing where our time is going is super important. The biggest thing that screams that you don't treat this like a business is that you don't have a CRM system. So a CRM system is somewhere where you track all of the people that you're speaking to, all of the people that you've outreached, any deals that you've landed, previous deals, the pay, the information around the conversations that you've had that's important, the deliverables. You want all of that housed in one area, because I know sometimes a brand will come back to me a month later and I'm like, what was this information that we were speaking about? Then you have to scroll through the trail on the emails, and that takes time to figure out where you're at. Whereas if you have the information, the key information noted about the conversation you had with them, the deliverables, the amount of the rate that you were discussing, you can just go back in with that conversation and pick up where you left off. And similarly as well, all of the brands that you've outreached, you have a space to remind you to follow up. My favorite is Notion. This is the CRM that I use. It reminds me when I need to follow people up. I have the statuses where I'm at with them, where the contract's at, whether they've paid or not, if they have ad usage, if I need to follow them up after 3 months of the ad usage, what ad usage I've had rights to. All of that information is super important, because I have had friends send me content that I'm in, being like, oh, I saw your ad. And I'm like, that ad's not supposed to be running anymore. So I've then gone back to the brand and told them that they need to pay more money. But I wouldn't have known this so quickly. I would have had to search through emails unless I had it in my CRM system. So being able to check on these things is going to save you so much time, but it also could increase your income if the brand is doing the wrong thing. That one is the biggest shift from being a hobby creator to being a creator that is actually building a business. The 3 essentials to your systems that you're going to need to build from a hobby creator to a consistently paid creator is your rate card, your CRM, and your results card alongside with your portfolio. What changed for me wasn't some huge epiphany. It was just me taking this business seriously and actually implementing systems instead of relying on my memory. So it became less stressful, I monetized faster, and I actually built processes around bringing income in and tracking my income rather than just being like, oh, I'm getting paid, because I did treat it like fun income rather than something that I would actually build on. Because I was creating income from my social media management business, I wasn't taking this as seriously as I could have. When I started keeping my rates somewhere, my past collaborations, the content performance, the deliverables, what I had to film and when, that's when I started to actually scale and increase my income in the creator side of my business. And now this is actually the main focus of my business, and my social media management side just runs itself. And you don't have to be naturally organized once you have these systems in place. I am definitely all over the place. I have an ADHD mind, and this is somewhere that I'm able to organize myself a lot better by having these systems in place. It makes it so much easier and it saves a hell of a lot of time. I'm traveling all the time. Like I said, I have multifaceted business, so I need to make sure that this side of the business is super easy for me to just understand what I'm doing day to day and where my focuses have to lie. Am I creating content for a specific brand? Am I waiting on a contract? Do I need to draw up a contract? Do I need to follow people up? And having ideal times on when I'm actually outreaching brands as well. Having this in place actually shifted my mindset to this is actually a business that I can scale. It also helped me to build relationships with brands and bring in retainer clients who loved my work as well, and gave me a place to follow them up on more content. The goal is actually not to work with 150, 200 brands. It's actually to work with a few aligned brands on repeat. That actually makes the content creation side a hell of a lot easier. When you have these partnerships with these brands and you understand their brands through and through, you already have the product, you use the product, you love the product, creating the content makes it a lot easier, and it also gives you a lot more leverage for when you want to increase your rates when it's doing well. A lot of influencers think that you put these systems in place once you already have the monetization, once you're already doing well, maybe you're full time. But the thing is that you need these systems in place before you even start. You need to know how you're going to be monetizing before you even start. What you have built now is enough. You don't have to build more followers. You don't have to increase your engagement. You don't need to post more. They're all procrastination tactics. You just need to start with these systems and processes and reframe your mind as this is a business. You can be the best creator in the world, but it doesn't mean that you know how to monetize. Being able to monetize means that you need to understand systems and processes on how to get there. My shift to creating income was actually leaning into somebody who could help me get there and help me do this, because you can figure it out along the way, but it is going to take you a hell of a lot of time and you are going to get very confused. Whereas learning from somebody who has done it before you and who's actually already implemented systems and processes that work, that's when you're able to accelerate faster. Growth is not linear, it's always going to be up and down. However, you're going to have smaller dips when you're not making as much mistakes because you're learning from somebody who's already made the mistakes and implemented systems that avoid them. If I was an influencer struggling to monetize and I wanted to start tomorrow, this is exactly where I'd start. My portfolio, my rates card, my results card, and my CRM. 4 things for you to set up. And you can absolutely set these things up within 1 week and start pitching to brands. The biggest thing is making sure that you track these conversations and the important parts of the conversations, so you're not wondering where you're at in a huge email thread. And you're not letting these opportunities slip through the cracks and disappear. You just need systems to support being the great creator and influencer that you already are. That's it. I have a link to all of these resources below if you need them. If there's anything that you have questions on or you'd like me to cover, make sure you comment them below.